In what could be a huge boost to Indian defense exports, Armenia is reportedly mulling the option to acquire formidable Su-30mki fighter jets from India. Now, this is sure to rattle not just Azerbaijan, but its backers, Turkey's Erdogan, as well as Pakistan. These Made-in-India Su-30s hammered at least 8 Pakistani air bases with their Brahmos missiles, beating all Pakistani air defenses of Chinese origin. Director of Analysis at RANE, a risk intelligence firm, San Liechtenstein, told Forbes, quote, "While Yerevan is expected to explore multiple options to bolster its air power, it is likely to focus on acquiring India-built Su-30mkis, which are far more cost-effective than the French Rafale," unquote. Reports suggest Armenia may acquire these Indian-made, Russian-origin Su-30s to counter its rival Azerbaijan and Baku's decision to buy 40 Pakistani Chinese JF-17 fighter jets. But Azerbaijan may have just made a $4.6 billion blunder, with multiple experts questioning the capabilities of the JF-17. Is it just an overhyped flying tin can? Just recently, a Pakistani-origin JF-17 was shot down inside conflict-ridden Myanmar by anti-junta rebels in Sagaing region. What's even more embarrassing for Islamabad is that this JF-17 fighter jet, which Myanmar acquired from Pakistan, was shot down using a basic shoulder-fired anti-air rocket, not even any complex air defense platform like the Indian Akash or the S-400. This just shows how vulnerable the JF-17 fighter jets are in real combat situations. Multiple reports suggest Indian Air Force also shot down a Pakistani JF-17, though the Indian military has not revealed any operational details yet. This also explains why Pakistani JF-17s were in hiding for most of the conflict and could not intercept or counter Indian airstrikes on 8 major Pakistani air bases.
वज़ीर-ए-आज़म साहब, हिंदुस्तान ने अपने बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल्स अभी लॉन्च किए हैं। एक नूर खान एयरपोर्ट पे गिरा है।
Azerbaijani JF-17s will stand no chance at all if Armenia buys Indian-made Su-30s backed by the Akash air defense system, which Yerevan has already deployed. This report in news portal DefenseSecurityAsia.com highlights that initial discussions between the HAL and Armenia were held back in 2023 and are now gaining pace again. San Liechtenstein added, quote, "India would likely also be interested in supplying these systems to counter Azerbaijan's acquisition of fighters from Pakistan, its traditional rival. Apart from seeking new fighter jets to match Azerbaijan's air power, Armenia is also expected to enhance its air defense capabilities through systems from India, Iran, and possibly other countries," unquote. So Armenia could initially acquire 8 to 12 Su-30mkis, which is an Indianized version of the Russian Su-30, integrated with Indian weapon systems, missiles, avionics, and upgraded AESA radars. Analysts point out that Su-30mki is a powerful yet affordable option for Yerevan to buy as compared to the French Rafale, a deal which may exceed $200 million per aircraft. The Su-30mki would be a strategic investment for Yerevan as they feature Indian-developed systems along with the formidable Brahmos missiles, as well as the long-range BVR Indian missiles such as the Astra Mk1 and Mark II. Upgrades will also entail integration of AESA radar, enhanced electronic warfare capabilities, glass cockpit interfaces, and advanced long-range precision weapons like the Rudra missile. The Su-30mkis form the backbone of the Indian Air Force with nearly 270 in service. Indian military's stellar performance during Operation Sindoor was on display on the global stage. First, Indian Air Force and the Army pounded 9 terror headquarters inside Pakistan and then 8 Pakistani air bases with the Brahmos and Scalp missiles. On the other hand, Indian integrated air defense systems led by the Akash prevented any significant Pakistani counterstrike. Indian weapon systems could prove to be the difference in the next Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict. Armenia press had claimed that Yerevan may approach New Delhi to upgrade its own existing fleet of 4 Su-30s with the integration of Indian-made avionics and data-linked strike systems. The potential acquisition of the fighter jets reflects Yerevan's urgent need to counterbalance Baku's procurement of additional JF-17 fighter jets from its ally Pakistan. In a post on platform X, Pakistan government confirmed how Azerbaijan has now increased its order from 16 to 40 jets as part of a $4.6 billion defense agreement. Now, JF-17s are good until they come up with a real fighter jet like the Sukhoi 30, which has a far higher payload capacity and is a proven war machine. India has been rapidly helping Armenia boost its defense capabilities after the defeat in the Nagorno-Karabakh war. Tensions between the two Caucasus neighbors reached a tipping point since Baku recaptured the Armenian-populated region of Nagorno-Karabakh back in 2023 in a lightning military offensive backed by Turkish drones, which dominated the battlefield by destroying Armenian fixed artillery and heavy armor systems. With Russia unable to meet Armenia's defense needs due to the war in Ukraine, Yerevan turned to India as well as France to prevent another invasion by Azerbaijan. Armenia has since then bought India's Pinaka multi-barrel rocket artillery, ATAGS artillery guns, Swathi weapon locating radars, as well as battle-proven Akash air defense system to neutralize any threat by Azerbaijan's Turkish-origin Baykar drones and now the JF-17s. Armenia had also previously shown interest in Indian Pralay ballistic missiles manufactured by the DRDO. The two countries share a growing defense relationship as India's defense exports to Armenia have increased manyfold. The total volume of weapons purchased by Armenia from India reached the value of $600 million at the start of FY 2024-25. Armenia placed an order for 84 additional Indian ATAGS artillery guns in March 2024, which India also plans to deploy at the LAC along the China border. This under a $155 million deal after Armenia ordered an initial batch of just 6 ATAGs in 2023, designed for mobility and high-altitude deployment. The high-altitude operability and automatic command and control systems of these Indian artillery guns make them an ideal choice for Armenian forces. Now, it's a win-win situation for India. The arms exports to Armenia are not only bolstering India's defense exports capabilities globally, but also has strategic motives behind it. The growing proximity cooperation between Turkey, Pakistan, and Azerbaijan are driving India and Armenia ever closer. Turkey and Pakistan, which is India's prime adversary, have openly backed Azerbaijani military aggression against Armenia. They are helping Azerbaijan boost its own military capabilities and possibly prepare for another conflict. In return, Azerbaijan emerged as a vocal supporter of Pakistan amid escalating tensions with India during Operation Sindhu, which was India's military operation against Pakistan-based UN-designated terror outfits like Lashkar and Jaish, especially after the terror attack in Pahalgam, where 26 Hindu tourists were killed in Kashmir. Countries like these are willing to turn a blind eye to Pakistan's state-sponsored terror and religious extremism. Azerbaijan and Turkey also back Pakistan's illegal occupation of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan, even though the region historically and legally belongs to India. New Delhi has been deeply angered by Azerbaijan for siding with Pakistan, and New Delhi's support for Armenia could be seen as a counter to Baku. India is the world's fourth largest economy and a growing global defense exporter. On the other hand, Pakistan is grappling with the highest public debt in its entire history. Still, Islamabad has decided to rack up its defense spending by a massive 20% in its annual budget for fiscal year 2025-26, allocating $9 billion for its military, arguably to compensate for the heavy damage it suffered to its major air bases and aerial assets in deep strikes by the Indian military.
उस बेस के ऊपर 4 सरफेस टू सरफेस ब्राह्मोस मिसाइल आए.
Don't think of it as India, Pakistan, think of it as India terroristan.
Hitting its highest ever public debt mark of 76,000 billion Pakistan rupees ending March 2025, the country's financial crisis has worsened fivefold in just the last decade, according to Pakistan's own economic survey. This paints a grim picture for the country's future. Their military generals demand increased budget at a time when nearly half of the Pakistani population lives below the line of poverty. Azerbaijan could help Pakistan by buying its subpar JF-17 fighter jets, but no amount of aid has been able to save Pakistan, which has been handed over 40 bailouts by the IMF and the World Bank, which have all gone down the drain.
Beggars can't be choosers.
As long as Pakistan military and the government supports state-sponsored terror, there will be no focus on growth and development, and Pakistan's people will suffer due to the state's policies. On the other hand, Armenia has found a stable partner in India, which remains the fastest growing large economy in the world, as well as the dominant force in South Asia. But what do you believe? Should India help Armenia boost its defense capabilities? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.